Prempe su prempe, eni abnae, womeji o, womeji tonio.
Context of white supremacy. How do you minimize conflict when talking to other non-white people? What are suggestions for ways that you can have communication where it doesn't get rowdy and out of control with other non-white people? I think we just got to be honest about the fact that it's just too easy. It's too easy for that sort of thing to happen to begin with, and we really all should be trying to take major precautions to keep that from happening. And any little thing that you can do, and these are just tiny things to commit to. I'm not going to name call. That's easy. I'm not going to curse, even if I curse in my private time or whatever, and I make hip hop CDs and I curse, 50 times every 60 minutes. At least if we're talking about racism, I'm going to work to not curse. I'm going to work to not name call. I'm going to really, be consciously choosing my words carefully so that I'm not, slipping into trying to belittle somebody or talk down to them if we don't agree. I'm just trying to understand what's being said, make sure I'm being clear about what I say and that I understand what they say. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with everything, but just if I don't agree, fine, no problem, get clarification and move forward. If I see it moving to conflict, try and go ahead and shut it down. Sometimes if I see things looking like it's going towards conflict, I start to just be quiet. Immediately I go, I'll just be quiet things, let the other person say whatever they have to say, and that's that. That's an excellent way of ending conflict and preventing conflict sometimes. Just, don't feel like you have to talk, particularly if questions are not being asked. That's a great way to nip conflict in the bud before it gets started. If a question has not been asked, do not feel compelled to respond. It's not saying that you have to be quiet. Just keep that in mind. If a question has not been asked, do not feel compelled to speak. That is a great way to keep conflict down. I have been around black people where I know we're not going to have agreement. I already know that, and I can already see this could be conflict. You can see people where if you disagree with that person, they're going to want an argument. I have heard black people say, oh, that person loves to argue. They love to get into conflicts and debates about this. I have seen those black people. I have been that black person. If you're really serious about getting rid of white supremacy, once you see that and that person is not, going to be someone where you can ask questions, they can ask questions, they're willing to admit, if they made an error. And that's a big one. That is big time red flags. When you see somebody or you're having a discussion with someone and they're not willing to admit when they've made an error, man, whatever. That I just let them talk and say whatever they're going to say. I have very little to say with those sort of folks, because that lets me know a lot up front. That you're not willing to be honest. That's a huge red flag, that we're not willing to be honest with ourselves, and we're going to need a whole lot of that if we're going to solve racism, white supremacy, in my opinion. Keeping your ego in check. I think a lot of this, keeping your ego in check is big. One of the things you can do for that, I could be incorrect. Try and say that. Say it to yourself, say it to other people. I could be incorrect. Just making sure you remind everyone, including yourself, that you make mistakes. That's a big one. We can keep the egos down. That would do a lot to having, I think, more constructive dialogue, and just less conflict. That should really be at the forefront of folks who are into trying to practice racism, white supremacy. No conflict. Really do everything you can to not have conflict with other black people, other non-white people. As I said, I definitely have room for improvement. I think we all do, as long as racism, white supremacy exists. I think all of those things will help in minimizing potential conflict with another non-white person.